welcome people to the rather belated single launch for They Want Us to Die, which was meant to be live, but is now not quite so live. They Want Us to Die, you see. So we're going to have a quick chat with some of the people involved, and then finally, at the end, watch the exclusive video replay of this track. So I think the whole idea for They Want Us to Die came from Seymour Quigley, the legend of Bury St Edmunds music scene. Is that what was it, Seymour, that inspired you to write the track?
Well, it was the morning after the election, which I think you could kind of see what was going to happen. It wasn't necessarily going to end well. It had been a really embarrassing election to behold. It was, you know, I think whatever side people run politically, it was really depressing. The kind of lies and horror of the whole thing was like a tidal wave of awfulness for however many weeks it was leading up to it. And you saw, you know, increasingly we've seen a really nasty side to our national character. I think we seem to respond really well to bullying and to bullies, which is what has enabled people to get away with so much awful stuff for so long. And yet, when I put on gigs in Bury, and when we, you know, I'm sure you guys find when you're going around doing gigs, you see the best in people, which is, I guess, part of the reason why we do it. We like seeing the better side of people, when people are brought together in a positive way. So I did wake up full of despair, but then this chorus popped into my head, and I immediately thought, well, that sounds like a Tundra song. So I wonder if Tundra would play it with me. And then I thought it'd sound really good if like Felicia and Brad sang on it as well. And then I thought, and it'd sound awesome if like Gaffer Take Sandy did a verse. And then I mentioned it to Colk, and Colk just wanted to be part of it and came along to the studio just to be on the record. And it just, everyone I spoke to liked the idea, which was really nice. But really it was just about trying to make something positive out of something that was awful, which was the election and its outcome and everything that it taught us about the state of our national psyche. So that's where it came from, really. So
it's interesting you say you thought it sounded like a Tundra song. It also sounds like a Seymour Quigley song, like a Miss Black America or a Horse Party song. Did writing songs and performing come back to you easily, quickly, because it's been a couple of years since you performed and recorded?
Yeah, I have to have a reason to do it. I don't sit and write songs in isolation. If you leave me at a piano for 5 minutes, I'll just work out a Whitney Houston song. So I'm not really, I don't really get any kick out of playing on my own with no purpose, which is why I haven't really written much in a long time. But yeah, it always seems when I feel particularly bleak about things is when I tend to end up writing pop songs for some reason. And that's how it always was in Miss Black America and in Horse Party and in 10 City Nation. The kind of bleaker I feel about something, the easier it is to write a pop hook. I don't know why, but that's how it is.
So was it easy to get the studio time and so on? I mean, you said it was easy to get the bands together. How did the actual recording of it come about so quickly?
Well, I think I spoke to you first, Rosie, and said, if I put something together, will you put it out? And you said yes. So then I asked Jamie, and Jamie said if I got a band together, he would record it. And then I asked Tundra if they would play with me. And it just gradually went through everyone one by one, and everyone said yes. And then you spoke to Russell Taysom, who did the artwork, and he said yes. So it's just one of those nice things. If everything was going really well, aside from the global pandemic. So, you know, that was...
Yes.
Apart from that, everything has gone totally to plan.
Well, you mentioned the artwork. I'm just going to put it up on the screen now. What can you tell us about the artwork?
Well, Russell Taysom is a Cambridge chap who I think he used to gig posters for you, didn't he, Rosie?
Indeed, gig posters, Christmas cards, all sorts of stuff. There's the image now. It's stunning, I think.
There it is. It's lovely. And he's done a video for Idols recently. He's done loads of stuff for Enemy. He is just a phenomenal artist, and he's massively in demand. I noticed that Craig Charles uses him for loads of his flyers when he does his club nights. And we just went to Russell and said, this is kind of what it's about. And Russell came up with that in about 2 days, didn't he?
Indeed, yes. Indeed.
Well, that was nice. I mean, it's unfortunate the day before it came out, Boris Johnson was admitted to ICU because we had to tone it down a little bit for a couple of days. But, you know, I'm not... not going to lie about it. That picture is Boris Johnson as a zombie eating the flesh of the poor, because that's in keeping with what the song is about. Whatever's happening right now, what led up to this single coming out is the fact that for 10 years, a bunch of extremely privileged people have been feasting on the blood of the poor. And that's what it is. We mustn't forget that's what's been happening. We mustn't allow the fact that right now we are in a national emergency to take our eyes off the fact that things may have gone differently had we had people who cared about us in charge. My wife works for the NHS. They are still struggling to get adequate PPE. They're still not being tested for the disease. And had the government 3 years ago not made a decision, 3 years ago the government had made a decision not to invest in adequate PPE because they didn't think the cost of human life justified the cost of the PPE. Jeremy Hunt made that decision. He's still involved in health decisions now. And we've seen lie after lie about the reasons for this ongoing situation of there not being enough PPE. So, these people do not care about us. They find it's a sport for them to watch us die. That's who they are. That's what they do. And we must never forget that, whatever happens, and never allow us to get in a position where our health service is weakened again, or that any of our essential services are weakened, or ever allow people to be bullied in the way they have been in the last 10 years. There's no need for it. It's totally wrong. So that's where this came from. I'm going to shut up now.
It became graphically true, the title of the song, They Want Us to Die, when you had Dominic Cummings coming up and saying, if a few pensioners die as well, that's just the unfortunate side effect of it.
Yeah.
It makes it more blatant than you could think possible.
It's completely mad timing with it, to be honest, because first time I heard about it was just Seymour telling me that he'd written this song at one of the gigs I was helping run the door for. And he said it to me, and the first thing I thought of was Band-Aid. I thought, I don't really want that. And then I thought, actually, no. This is Seymour saying it. It's going to be good. He doesn't come up with rubbish ideas. And it sounded like a good idea. He went into more detail, and then I heard nothing for ages. I didn't even know they'd been off recording. I heard, maybe Kim and Catherine mentioned that they'd been doing vocals or were writing something for it. But it wasn't until they actually, I got given the track a few weeks ago by Seymour that it came, and I was like, completely forgot about this. And I thought it was amazing, honestly. I listened to it on repeat about 6-7 times that day and just fell in love with the song. It's a brutal song about a brutal subject, and the subject is more relevant now than ever, really. Whether that's the worst time in the world or the most perfect time in the world, I don't know. It depends how you look at it. But it's powerful either way.
Yeah. So Joe manages Gaffer Tape Sandy. So Joe and any members of the band, obviously things are going really well for you at the moment and you're really busy. Was there any problem in finding the time to do this? Because I know you recorded it before the lockdown and before we all had so much time on our hands. Has anybody... Sorry, yeah.
We love him.
That's good to hear. So obviously the lockdown has probably got in the way of Gaffer Tape Sandy's inevitable rise to fame and fortune. What have you been doing with your time in the lockdown? Anybody in Gaffer Tape Sandy?
Kim has been on the beach the entire time, and he's still there.
Yeah.
As you can tell. As you can tell.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
I've been on my bike a lot. I've been a bit of a slug man, watching a lot of Netflix and stuff, I've been pretty sluggy, not really doing that much, but trying to write songs and trying to keep busy where I can and trying to keep the social media kind of interesting.
So my isolation yesterday was cheered up very much by the arrival of this in the post. What can you tell us about that, anybody?
Yay. That is a song that we made, and it's, I don't know. Well, Kim, you wrote it. I did the artwork, but you're the main guy.
Yeah, it's probably one of our favourite of our latest EP, Family Mammal. It's all sort of about feeling pretty desperate and feeling pretty helpless in the face of things that are bigger than you and stuff. I don't know.
It's another song relevant now. Stuck inside the houses, feeling quite desperate.
This is you.
Sorry?
We were conspiring.
Yeah, no, it was written over a year before COVID, but I think it has kind of taken a bit of a different. I don't know. I think it's kind of seen through a different lens now, with a lot of people being stuck in their house and it probably feeling like quite a desperate house.
So, sorry, yeah. I've had time to tidy my house, and I've also found 3 copies of this and a signed one, which we're going to put on eBay for the food bank in Bury St Edmunds. This is a flex you did for us 2 years ago, almost exactly to the day, actually. How does anybody account for the massive rise in popularity you've had? What is it about yourselves you think that appeals to people?
I don't know. God,
I can answer that question. Can I answer that question?
Yeah, please answer that question.
Okay. The reason why Gaffer Tape Sandy are doing really well, and the reason why people love Tundra, and the reason why people love BUH, and the reason why people love Colk, is because when you watch those bands live, you want to be in that band because it just looks like the funnest thing ever. And that's the reason why any band, now that the whole days of like $1 million contracts for bands who've played 3 gigs are gone, bands tend to be bands because they want to have fun, and it's massively increased the amount of goodness that happens at gigs. People aren't just being idiots anymore and trying to be rock stars in the way they used to. So now when you go and see bands, the ones that people connect to are the ones who just look like it's a laugh and have really good songs as well, but you pick up on how amazing the people in the band are. And that's what every band on this record has. But that's what I think it is. I mean, that's why I like all you fuckers, because you're just all lovely and brilliant, and you're all brilliant in a different way. And when watching you all play live, which is kind of my hobby, is to watch you play live. It's always inspiring. So I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I really want to be in Gaffer Tape Sandy. That's why I manage them, because it's the closest I can possibly get to being in the band without actually having to sing or play anything, because I really can't do either of those things.
I want to be in Tundra, Colk, and BUH, and Horse Party. It's good fun. I'm going to invade all of these bands, just so you know. You can't escape. Sorry, you can't leave. You can't leave your house.
I feel like essentially what this whole thing has been about is just to essentially break down the walls of band names and just let the super group finally commence.
Yeah,
Sure.
Absolutely.
I would love to be on every, I would love to be on a Gaffer Tape record or a BUH record or a Colk record or a Tundra record. It's kind of, I want to watch those
already there, mate.
Yeah, and
already there.
it was just lovely to get everyone together. And the nice thing was, when we were recording it, seeing the way that everyone just brought their own thing to each verse. Like the Tundra verse is a pure Tundra vocal, and the BUH verse is a pure BUH vocal, and the same with the Gaffer Tape Sandy verse. Everyone's done their own unique thing, and the way I really hoped they would. And it was magic to watch it happen. And then of course there's some Colk noises and some of Tom's amazing screaming in the background. It's what you want, isn't it?
So we tried to recreate the same vibe in Swansea, which I wasn't so sure would work. So I've only just arrived here like last 18 months. And actually we got 4 or 5 bands involved, and we recorded a track, which is a little bit rude to Boris. So we're not pushing it at the moment, but they really enjoyed working together as well. And they did it in one recording session, and the recording engineer did it for free. So that sort of spirit that Seymour talks about happens across music, doesn't it? And across normal people. I was going to ask anybody in Tundra or Bananarama, as they're called tonight. Can you tell us about your role in the single, please?
Go on then.
Well, we had a song written for us, and then we had to play it and record it. It was quite easy, to be honest. It's probably the easiest song we've ever written, because we didn't have to actually do anything.
Or haven't written.
It was going off from what Seymour said about the verses. I thought it was really cool because when we were in the studio, BUH, you were doing yours, and we hadn't written anything yet because we wanted to do it. We wanted to write it, then hearing it all together. And we were sitting there, we're like, oh, right, we got to make it sound like Tundra, but all I want to do is follow on from what you guys have done. So we kind of put ourselves in the studio for a couple minutes and just kept replaying it. and tried to make it sound.
We also had absolutely no idea whatsoever, so we wanted to see what you guys came up with.
Yeah, a little bit.
So that we at least had an idea of what to say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I was absolutely cacking my pants before we went there. I'd never felt so much pressure to be, you know, walking amongst giants as we were. It was quite intimidating.
Well, you did a great job. I would have thought so, yes. So Tundra again, your last, I'm bigging up Swansea again, your last live gig I think was possibly in Swansea in Creature Sound.
Yeah.
We recorded our track. Are you missing live music since driving all the way back from Swansea?
I must say that last gig in Swansea, that was like just before the lockdown. So obviously we had all of the safety procedures put in place with, you know, hand sanitizing and all that sort of stuff. So I'm actually really glad that gig didn't get cancelled, because it was nice to see how different we had to even do anything in these sorts of circumstances. And it was like, it was just such a weird gig to play at, because we had to clean everything after we'd done. We had to clean, you know, all the microphones, all the knobs on the amps, that sort of stuff. It was just like, it was such an odd sort of experience.
Do you also feel like you couldn't really encourage people to kind of mosh together?
Yeah.
Just feel free to just stand quietly and nod. Like, just move down.
It was like, you see people get too close and you're like, can you fucking move apart a bit? Give that guy some space. It was weird. It was weird, but it was really, really cool.
Yeah.
In terms of missing live gigging and that sort of stuff, we hadn't really done many gigs before that Swansea one for quite a while. So it feels a bit normal at the moment, purely based on the fact that we hadn't gigged much before that. Because it was last like November where we gigged quite a lot. So it's been a while since we gigged a lot. So it's not been too bad.
Catherine, a cold turkey at the minute, aren't you, Kim and Catherine?
Yeah.
Absolutely itching.
Yes.
I've seen videos of Catherine losing her mind. Haven't I, Catherine?
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
As we're talking about Swansea, I must big up Creature Sound for putting that gig on and for being so careful with everybody who was there, really looking out for people. They do run a homeless shelter as well, which is why some of the money is going to the food bank in Bury St Edmunds, and some of the money for the record is going to Creature Sound, because they're such a useful community resource for the area. People in BUH and Culk, I reckon you're a bit heavier, your music, than the other bands involved. Would you agree? And how did that feel taking part?
It was a really nice change of pace for me. It was nice to be able to catch your breath between like beats. I really enjoyed it. It was a really nice change of pace.
Yeah, I was pretty honoured to be asked, to be honest, because I mean, Seymour knows hundreds of bands from maybe Bury or East Anglia generally, or Suffolk, but to be asked was pretty much like, all right, we've stood out at least in some way to be heard, you know, in his mind to contribute to the song. So that was super, super flattering. Thank you.
Culk, anything to add to that?
Yeah, it was good. We basically invited ourselves. We had essentially residents at Jamie's studio. We're there most of the time. It's very hard for us right now, not being able to be there and eat beans. But yeah, it was really good. The whole session was like very high energy that I was very not used to. It was really an interesting place to be in. It was really good.
Excellent. Do either of you two bands think that music can bring a change in society? In fact, any of the bands, do you think that music can bring change in society? And Seymour as well. Anybody? I think we should sort of bring this to an end in a couple of minutes. So I've got two questions. Two last questions. One is, do people think that music can make a fundamental difference in society, either on a political level or a personal level?
It's definitely a start.
Yeah.
Start. It's a way to express ourselves, make our feelings heard without bottling up, feeling frustrated. Maybe get other people on the same wavelength as you with what you're thinking, and find out if there's other people thinking the same and feeling stronger together.
I don't think punk would still be relevant in 2020 if it hadn't been, you know, effective in reacting to current political climates for the last 40 odd years, sort of thing. Yeah, we wouldn't be where we were if it wasn't making some sort of a difference and creating some sort of a groups, isn't it? It brings groups together with the same ideologies, and it influences. I mean, I wouldn't say I was ever really into punk until I'd actually moved to the UK, and then the first few people I met in the first month that I moved here has become the reason why I'm here 9.5 years later.
Society and music and society, they affect each other. Society influences how music is and what we write about and what we're angry about and what we love, and then we channel that in music. I say you guys channel that in music, create it, and then that hopefully affects society in some way. That's the best you can hope for. So it's a relationship, it's symbiotic, it's dialectical.
Seymour, did you want to add anything to that?
I think, I mean, if you look at the way that music has, you know, especially since the 60s, the way that music has, you know, driven, you know, through, along with other aspects of pop culture, the way that it's changed the way that people think about stuff. You know, there's been this massive societal change constantly over the last, you know, 50, 60, 70 years since the birth of rock and roll. And it really has been part of what's helped people liberate people from a much more subservient mindset. I think people used to be far too deferential towards those in charge, no matter how evil those people have been. And I think this kind of pop culture has helped us feel liberated from that. Has helped us realise that we can, you know, anyone can come from any background and do something amazing artistically and make a difference to the world, and it all has a knock-on effect. And, you know, like, but the example I always use, and I've used it a lot on stage when talking about the power of music, is also the way that it brings people together positively. Not much brings people together positively in the way that music does, because it isn't a competition. It's not adversarial necessarily. And you know, like, look, I met my wife through music, but there are now 2 children who exist because I met my wife at a gig. We didn't conceive our children at the gig. I just want to make that very, you know, it wasn't that wild a night. But you know, that's the power that music has. You know, there are literally 2 humans who exist because of a Belgian art rock band that not that many people know about. You know, it's so, you know, that's the truth of it. It brings people together and changes people's lives totally. I mean, we all know each other through music, and this is a selection of the finest human beings that I know. So, you know, that's how we all know each other, because of music. But you've always used music, Rosie. The Manic Street Preachers inspired you to start Repeat.
Yeah.
You know, look at all the work you've done with Love Music, Hate Racism, you know, with helping to change people's attitudes and make the world a more tolerant place. You know, you've done a lot too, and that came from your trade union background, but also your love of the Manics and rock and roll. So, you know, it's never trivial. Music is really important.
That would be a really good place to stop if I didn't have one more question, which is trivial. This is the question I've asked for 26 years, or however it is long since we started Repeat. So some of you have answered before. Everybody needs to answer. What's best, chips or cream buns?
Chips.
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 I don't know what you said.
Chips or cream buns? It's unanimous. It's unanimous. So, if nobody else has anybody else got anything they want to say? Because if not, I'll bring it to an end and show the video.
I should probably say thank you to all of you being involved.
Thank you to you
for inviting us.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say thank you to you, mate, for getting it all sorted.
Indeed.
It's like it's a total honour to be in a record with all of you. I can't express how excited I am that you.
I almost can't believe it's taken long.
Yeah, it's weird.
How was
well,
it?
The rest of us, apart from the rest of us, me and Catherine have been in a band together for 5 years and never actually made a record until now.
Oh, right.
So,
I was kind of offended when you asked me. I was like, wait, it's taken you this long? Come on.
I think the important thing to say as well is that at some point this has to happen live on a stage. Like, you know, we're down but not out at the moment. Like, it will happen on the stage. That'd just be the most fun, the most exciting thing ever. Just to act like a complete fool in the comfort of friends, making hilarious music that's just fun together.
Lockdown for months and months and months as well.
Mm-hmm. We'll all be so pent up. We'll just, it will be great.
It will be great. I'm looking forward to it already.
It'll be amazing.
So what we need to remind people to do is there's going to be a link on the video wherever it finally turns up with the links to Spotify. You can order a lovely, really limited blue flexi, revolting Tory blue it's going to be, with a second track by a Swansea band called Jack City Rockers. I'm also going to put the links on for is it called the Gatehouse Food Bank in Bury St Edmunds?
Yeah.
And Creature Sound, so people can donate, because even more than when the record was written, these people's work is absolutely essential.
Yeah, and Gatehouse is still there. They're posting every day, showing what they're doing. They're still supporting vulnerable people now, in the middle of a pandemic. It's all volunteer run. What's that, Catherine?
I think I saw that they're like taking food to people as well now, which is amazing.
Yeah. And they're getting massive donations from some big. It turns out there's some really lovely organisations in Bury who are helping them. But yeah, they are going out and delivering food to vulnerable people, even in the middle of the pandemic, which is amazing. And it's the same all over the country. And part of the reason why, and I'm sure they wouldn't disagree, part of the reason why I think Gatehouse is a good charity to pick for this single is because they shouldn't exist. They shouldn't have to exist. Food banks should not have to exist. There's no reason for it. And the fact that the government proved, in the space of a few days of realising that they had to support people, that ability to support people was there all along. No one ever needed to starve at all at any point over the last 10 years. They just chose to allow people to starve.
Yeah, it takes a global pandemic for them to realise, we actually have to do something for someone, not ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so even if you don't want to listen to the song, which I think it's a great song, even if you hate music, you donate it.
You're some kind of enormous idiot and don't like music.
Yeah, I sit in silence all day and just wallow in pity and self something or other.
So we're going to play out with the video, which Catherine made. It's absolutely incredible. The proper video is going online tomorrow. This is the final draft, is it? Do you want to say anything about the video before I play it?
Just play it. It's cool.
Right. So that's it. We're going to watch the video as soon as I can work out how to play it.
Nailed it.
Any second now.
They'll leave us for dead in austerity ditches.